Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is the Talkin Kop. We're here for post-match reaction show after it has finished for the final time at Goodison Park. Everton 2, Liverpool 2, and there are a fair few things to talk through from that game. So I'm extremely happy to be joined by my three regular friends, Chris, Kevin, Ashley, to talk through tonight's game. And Ashley, I'm going to come to you first. Just give me one word on the referee.
Everyone wants me to say it. Today I'm going to say
Don't.
I'm gonna.
Look, I don't want to see you next Tuesday.
Like,
no, I don't want to see you next Tuesday.
I'm just gonna put it there. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but because I'm gonna save it for the end of the season. But this is what he is.
That's a demonetized.
Sorry.
Now that she doesn't say
I
it.
said I was not gonna be on good behavior today. I'm not going to say it because I'm saving it for the very end, but that's the closest you're going to get for me. You know, he was absolutely atrocious.
It was kind of a loaded question, Ashley, but I think not just the refereeing performance, but Liverpool's performance, the game and the result in general is the type of experience that can elicit that type of reaction from you. It was a bit of a bonkers Merseyside Derby, wasn't it, Ashley?
It was just like there were so many things that we're going to go through. It was a shit performance. It was, it was poor from us. It was even more poor from the officials. We got dragged down to a level that I don't think any of us wanted to see. Like it just overall, I'm so angry. I'm just trying to keep my cool right now, and it's really hard when you do these like reactions 30 minutes after a game, and I'm glad we had 30 minutes because I probably would have like thrown a chair or something if we didn't have 30 minutes because I'm just not happy.
I wish we would have gone live immediately after the final whistle.
I would have pulled a Nunes is what I would have done.
And I mean, Kev, what are your first thoughts, half an hour now after that game?
I'm glad we had the half hour because I just sat there and just thought about it for about 20 minutes. Then I just started having a look around at stuff. Yeah, look, Oliver was poor, but he's not the reason why we didn't do enough. We were poor. Even if you'd have come away with 2-1 win, it wasn't so much of a smash and grab, but it was easily one of our worst attacking performances of the season by a distance. We didn't work Jordan Pickford anywhere near enough. Good goals. We scored 2 good goals, but overall didn't do enough to finish it off. It's that simple. Yeah, the referee was poor. Yeah, he bottled a couple of 2 massive decisions, but ultimately we didn't do ourselves any favors either because we couldn't find a way to get through the middle of the park, and we weren't aggressive enough in our passing. We didn't take enough risks when there were times in the first half I was screaming out for risks to be taken with passing through the middle. I mean, yeah, overall finished 2-2, 7 points clear. Not ideal. Not fucking disastrous by any stretch of the imagination, So look, is what it is. Hopefully you draw a line under it and move on. But that was as poor Liverpool performance as I've seen this season.
Yeah, I'm Chris. It's kind of 2 performances back to back now where Liverpool have been far from the level that we've expected them from the first part of this season. Few more excuses for the Plymouth away with the massive number of changes. All the guys that got the rest and didn't have to make the trip down come into this match. And like Kev said, I mean, just before we came on, he said that we had 5 shots on goal. And it's just not enough. Like, do you think we did enough, Chris, to deserve the win? Or is a draw a fair result?
I think we should have seen it out once it got to 2-1, because ultimately, when we made it 2-1, we had reduced Everton to 1 shot on target before then. I think Everton had 3 in the whole game, and we didn't have much more. So that's where it's a bit frustrating. We'll talk about the goal because it's shouldn't stand. But we are where we are. I think my frustration is a few in the chat saying it's the emotion. Liverpool, I don't think for me it wasn't the emotion. Liverpool unusually weren't very good at adapting to how they were being officiated, which is he was going to give cheap fouls. He was giving fouls for people falling over. He gave a foul for somebody kicking the floor. So they had to, be a bit cuter with it, and to try and not play the role. And and unfortunately, because they weren't adapting to him, it became a very stop-start game, which suited Everton. It doesn't suit Liverpool because they couldn't get flowing. The few times we got a bit of a passing move going, we cut them open and got 2 good goals. I hate the derbies. I do. They're lovely if you win them, but
They're awful.
But yeah, I'm glad that's the derby over now until April. The Anfield one's never quite as bad as the Goodison one. But yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, there's a few Arsenal fans in the. It's funny now. There's Arsenal fans in the chat now who love Michael Oliver. It's funny that because your fans' reputation for officials is not the best, and apparently every official hates you. So funny how that works, isn't it? When it goes your way. But listen, Liverpool have partly got themselves to blame because they didn't adapt well enough to Michael Oliver. I don't think the manager's final sub made any sense, and
I don't think any of us did.
And that's probably now the 3rd game where we can go. Why aren't you bringing Endo for last? Bringing Endo for the last 5 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, Endo's quite good in the air as well. So if they want to do long balls, it would actually suit Endo's game. Nothing against Jota, but you're 2-1 up. You don't need him to chase a goal. Take Diaz off and just say to Endo, just sit in front of the back 4 and edit. Basically, you kind of thought Slot might have learned that after the Newcastle game. I know the keeper drops a clanger, but it was just like that. Just felt, I don't know, to be a little bit of a basic one to do. But look, we move on. It doesn't feel great, but listen, 7 points clear with 14 games to go. That is a healthy position to be in, and any other club would want to be this. A lot of, don't take it the wrong way, I feel like crying in a little bit now of like, oh, well, that's it now. The title race is back on. Let's see, because, Arsenal have got to still be close to perfect to catch us. And they haven't shown that this year, that they can go close to perfect. No one has this season. So do I think Liverpool can still win this league? Yes. 9 points would have been nicer than 7, but just move on. Just really disappointed. Like I said, I'm glad it was half an hour afterwards.
I'm really upset now. I was just twiddling my thumbs for a half an hour. Shit, we should have just came on here and went right live. John R. saying, I'm not crying over a 7-point lead. Hell no. I mean, they said it was the first time in however many months that all the teams in the Premier League have played the same number of games, and we've got a 7-point lead. So I'd rather have the 7 points in the bag than be needing to make them up over the final. What are we at now? 14 games.
14 games left, yeah.
We got a super chat from ENG91755, which I know this from the last show. These are 10 Singaporean dollars, saying Everton are a small-time petty club. Their mentality was evident. Turns up against Liverpool only. Doucouré was a disgrace, crap player, and small mentality. Ashley, we'll get to the first goal, but the thing I took out of it, and this comes off of ENG's comment about Doucouré, is it seemed like they had sent Doucouré out there with the sole task of marking Ryan Gravenberch out of the game. And it seemed like it worked an absolute treat until Gravenberch went off. He really, really struggled to get into the game, to impact the game, to be there to pick up the ball off the center halves. And it was jarring to watch him not be able to influence the games like we've come to expect.
Yeah, I feel like there was another team that did this to Gravenberch to great success that I can't for the life of me remember who it was. So if there's someone in the chat that remembers, like, let me know, because I swear it's happened once before. And like, he's such a pivotal person to our entire buildup that when he is having an off day, it's almost like, oh my God, what is happening? Because it's such a rarity. It really is. It might be Forest or it's either Forest or Newcastle. You guys are probably right. But yeah, it's happened before. It's definitely a tactic that has worked against him. Usually he's very press resistant. Usually, he has the ability to kind of slalom his way out of those kind of things. Doucouré did a good job. I thought he was largely ineffective today. I mean, it's one of the few times that we've had a game where I've said, where is Gravenberch? I don't even remember him being on the pitch, really. And there was a point where when Jones was coming on, we were talking, and it was like, who's he coming on for? I was surprised it was Gravenberch, but kind of in retrospect, I understand because it did feel like he was quite ineffective.
Yeah, it's good coaching as far as I'm concerned in terms of David Moyes recognizing the threat that it poses. I mean, the flip side of that was when we played Chelsea in November. We had Curtis Jones sit on top of Cole Palmer and effectively marked him out of the game, and it completely robbed him of their game plan. Kev, the other Everton game plan was always going to be, I don't know jack shit about the inner workings of football tactics or strategy, but even I could tell you that they're going to try to play for free kicks, try to get set pieces. And lo and behold, it's 11 minutes into the game. What are your thoughts on the foul itself that leads to the free kick and then the goal that makes it 1-0 to the Ev?
Well, it's not a foul. I mean, that's as clear as day. It's not a foul. But once a foul is given, you've got to set yourself up to defend it. And it was a brilliant ball by Brantwaite. Beto did really well. Hang on a sec.
That's Chris.
All right, yeah, no. Beto did well to make the space to make his run. He curled his run, managed to stay just on side, and it was tight. But it was really well taken goal. I thought Alisson should save it personally. I think he tucked it inside his body, so it would have been tough for him to get down. But you expect Alisson to save that. Konate, can he be, judged on? I think it's more Beto making a good run than Konate holding his line, because if Konate drops, then it just makes it easier for him. And I just think the ball, the run, it was really good. It was really good play by Everton, but I still think Alisson should probably save it. But I can't even say it was against the run of play because it was so stop-start. It was so big. Neither side could get a grip on anything. So it was just one of those goals. It was the last thing you wanted as well. But in fairness, they didn't do what I expected them to do, which was like normally drop off into a 5-4-1 and just defend their 18-yard box. They didn't. They stayed in their shape. They're 4-2-4 defensively and said, look, no matter what happens, you're not coming through the middle of us. And that's why Gravenberch couldn't get into the game, because we couldn't find him with passes into the middle of the park. We did it a couple of times. It was mainly with McAllister. And that's where we got any bit of joy really in the first half, was when we were able to feed McAllister through the middle. But yeah, it was a reminder really, you are in a fucking game. It's not, I mean, the atmosphere was on. Goodison was live, and we didn't do enough to quieten them down. But yeah, no, I think it was more a well-worked free kick routine and less on what Konate could or couldn't have done. I mean, what more can he do? If he drops, he's the worst in the world, because he's the one who breaks the line and keeps everyone on side. Can't step out because he's holding the line with Conor Bradley. He can see Conor Bradley in front of him. So the effort really comes from Beto being able to bend his run and time it well. So it was more Everton's good play than us our bad play. We'll do that. We'll defend like that more often than not throughout the season and catch sides off almost all the time. There are going to be times when it's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. And tonight was one of those nights. It just didn't work.
Yeah, it's Conor Bradley is the player that's behind the line. But, I mean, Chris, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat pointing out, Bradley broke the line. Bradley was playing him onside. And I watched the replay, and I had a different take from it, because Bradley is marking Iliam Ndiaye, who's there for the short ball from the corner. And he's not actually moving when the ball's played. He's marking his man. I would put the blame for our setup to defend this corner on Virgil van Dijk and Ibou Konate to not have the rest of the line, which is on the other side of the field, and looking at Conor Bradley. Why was the big group of players a yard and a half ahead? Like, Bradley can't move up because then Ndiaye's, I mean, I guess he would be offside then. But, there's a lot of blame to go around, and I don't think it's entirely on Conor Bradley. But like Kev says, it's a good set piece that's worked. Maybe Alisson should do better.
Yeah, I think it's good. Give them credit. It's a good set piece. It's pretty decent. It's a decent finish. I thought Beto actually was good all game. I thought he kept our centre backs busy. Yeah, I think seeing Virgil and Kanate, they need to sort it out better. See the run, see the line. I think it's Kanate's man. I think Kanate should, either step up or match the run better than he does. But, it's annoying to concede a goal that early in the game. And listen, the reaction we get to it is good to get ourselves back into it. But just all game, we never quite got into our flow of the game, partly down to just not managing how the referee was dealing with the game, and that's just how it is. You've got to manage sometimes. If you know a referee's going to be very pernickety, you've got to adapt to that. I just don't think all game we adapted to it, unfortunately.
No, it's poor. I mean, Ash, you can have your say on there. Go if you want, but like Chris said, and it's something that's happened multiple times this season where we concede a goal shaky or deserved, and then immediately we reply, and without any surprise to anybody, Mo Salah is at the heart of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the bright lights of the game. I mean, McAllister wouldn't have been fit if this game had happened in December. So having him and having Ibu fit for this game was definitely, something that we could take into it. It was a fantastic Salah cross. And it's just yet another game where he has an amazing goal and assist. I think that's 51 now, where he has a combination of the two. It was a fantastic cross into a brilliant area. And I want to say that McAllister's probably the tiniest man on the pitch. I can't imagine there's many that are taller than him, but he gets the header. And, I don't know if Pickford should do better. It felt kind of loopy. It felt like Pickford could have gotten down to that corner, but, it was 3 minutes, I believe, between the two goals. I mean, it was one of those things that was kind of a hallmark of the beginning of our season, where if we went down, we would immediately rectify the situation. And this felt like kind of the first time in a while that we've done that, where we've just immediately replied. And I thought it was going to be like a harbinger of good things to come. And I genuinely thought that, okay, they've played their game for the first 15 or so minutes. Now we're going to actually stamp our authority on it. And unfortunately, that was not how the rest of that first half played out. I honestly, I think when we look back on the, all of the statistics of this game, I would be surprised if there's maybe 55 to 60 minutes of the game actually being in play. The number of times that they stopped the game and just made it so incredibly difficult for us to find our rhythm, I think plays a lot into why we never, played our game. And I know we've all kind of been talking about, we got dragged down to their level, but I don't know. I think that they played it exactly the way we didn't want to play. And it was effective, as much as it is pissing us all off.
Yeah, we can't be expecting teams to play how we want to play, how we set up and play 11v11 in practice against each other. And Kev, on the goal, it was Ilian Ndiaye tries to cut the ball out. He just doesn't quite get there when Kanate passes it to Mo Salah. And then poor Ndiaye ends up hurting himself and having to go off. And I mean, it's a rough day for him. Jesus, Chris, your thing is so bad. Sorry, Chris. I gotta mute you. He's not able to defend the ball that leads to the goal, and then ends up hurting himself and having to go off in tears. I mean, a bit unfortunate for him, but he did just hurt himself.
Yeah, it kicked the ground.
It was never a foul, along with the 30 other fouls that Oliver gave against us. It was never a foul. The number of times that they bought those fucking fouls.
Yeah, it was one of those, look, he kicked the ground, ref bought it, but it doesn't matter. Look, at the end of the day, the commentators were saying he could have done his medial ligament in his knee. Why is he walking off? I'm sat there why is he allowed to take this long to get off the pitch?
I'm surprised he could walk with his head in his shirt like that for that long.
He was being guided off the pitch. But
I know.
Go back to. I just want to go back to our goal a sec. How good is McAllister for that? Won the ball back. His interception, won it back, made the run, kept the run going, timed his run really well. And to be able to twist his neck like that. It's a brilliant ball from Salah as well. Just shifted onto his left foot. Great cross. And he just, whatever contortionist way he twisted his neck, I don't know what he did, but fantastic finish. But yeah, it was like, you're back at 1-1 and you're like, okay, fine, good. Let's put our foot in the ball now and just play. Just try and play our game, move them around a bit. But we were so slow in moving the ball that they were just able to shift from side to side really easily. You know, we weren't tiring them out like we would do normally against sides where you'd have possession, but you move them really quickly. We never did. Even the switches of play, very poor. And then the referee started interjecting himself into the game more and more as the game was going. It was like something is really starting to annoy me with the way he was refereeing. It was stop, start, stop, start. Someone actually said in the chat earlier on, can you find out what the foul count was? The foul count was, I think, 20 fouls against us. And where is this? It was single digits against our. It was single digits. Yeah, it was single digits against ours, Everton. And to be honest, for all of the cards, it wasn't a dirty game. I've seen Merseyside derbies where you're looking at like, how the hell did he break something? But it was like, it wasn't that. But at the same time, the first major decision that came in the second half, he absolutely bottled it because Gay should have been off, and it was a blatant pullback on Gakpo, who was on a break. It was preventing a counter attack. It ticks every box along the way, but as soon as he allows advantage, it gives him the get out of jail free card that he doesn't have to go back and give a second yellow card because he gave advantage. We found this out a few weeks ago. Do you remember one of the games that happened? And we were screaming, saying, why didn't he go back and book him for a second yellow card? And apparently, that's the reason why. But in truth, that a decision like that changes the game. You know, and that was the first major decision that he just bottled it. And it carried on right the way through the yellow card to Conor Bradley. I mean, Robertson, yeah, deserves his yellow card. Kick the ball away, can't argue. The one on Bradley, where it was just a tackle on the dead ball line. That's all it was. It was just a tackle. It was never a yellow card. Never in a million years. And then he slaps a yellow card on it. He interjected himself into a game, and it turned out he made the game about him. I mean, and that's not to give us a get out of jail free card. We were shockingly bad. You know, we did not do enough in that game, full stop. But Michael Oliver interjected himself into that game, and he fucking ruined it by the amount of stoppages that were in that game. It was ridiculous. I can understand the frustration, and it boiled over in the end. But yeah, he had a nightmare in the Arsenal Wolves game. Got roundly abused, and it was a fucking disgrace what abuse that he got for it. But this, I think, was his first game back.
He should not have gotten this game as his first game back.
No, this game was way too big for him. Way too big for him. The thing is, 2-3 years ago, Michael Oliver was seen as and Anthony Taylor were the two best referees in the Premier League, head and shoulders above the rest. For me, for the last couple of years, he's been fair to middling to being downright fucking one of the worst in the league.
The McAllister chest tackle was him. The Virgil van Dijk ACL breaker was him. Like, he's involved in a lot of really, really big calls. Like, a lot of really, really big calls. And Arsenal hate him, but I think Liverpool also have reason to hate him. And in terms of big calls and changing a season, like, and I don't think this is going to change our season. I really don't. But
no,
in terms of being able to dictate a game and the outcome of a game, this is a perfect example, in my opinion, of a ref having their fingerprints over the entire thing. And this, to me, was more about the ref than about the players. Like, yeah, we didn't play well, but and this is not like a, oh my God, the ref like was the reason we dropped points, because
No.
we played really shit. But at the same time, like the underlying, like whatever I'm going to remember from this match is going to be about the ref, which is, it shouldn't be. It should never be about the ref. And I genuinely feel like the way that he dictated this, I don't know. I'm still furious about it. I don't know how to put words to it. And it's just making me so upset about the injustice of it, because I think you want your referees to be like, they don't have to be beacons of light. They just have to be unbiased. And this felt so incredibly not. Like, it just felt so incredibly in their favor. And it was like the number of times I have in my notes, like, Liverpool player gets fouled, gets no call. And then, like, within 2 seconds, an Everton player will get a foul.
No,
like, literally within 2 seconds.
This was more along the lines of a home referee, you know, and I've seen it at Anfield as well. Look, let's be honest. You know, I've seen Liverpool get away with holy murder at Anfield with referees.
You've never sounded more Irish than when you just said holy murder.
But you've seen players get fouls at Anfield and at Old Trafford and at the Emirates and what used to be the old Highbury and what have. Home sides tend to get these kind of nights. It's just tonight. It was just so fucking bad. It was so bad, and it was frustrating to watch. But again, I reiterate it. He is not the reason why we only got a point. You know, there were other factors in play tonight. Our build-up play tonight from start to finish was not sharp enough by a street. And as the game opened up, we got better, you know, but at the same time, that was a shadow of what we've seen this season. An absolute shadow.
Yeah. Chris Oliver had his fingerprints all over my notes for the final 20 minutes of the half, because it's a mixture of he's letting everything go and a series of yellow cards from him. And like Kev said, like, and Ashley too, like, you don't want to be remembering this game because of a refereeing performance. And unfortunately it is. But did you feel that we did enough in that first half to deserve to be level? You know, like, was that a fair result going in at halftime? Because I saw some split opinion in the Telegram group and some groups on WhatsApp and whatnot like that over how we were playing. Some people thought we were playing absolutely shit. Other people thought we were playing completely fine.
I don't think we played great, but I felt at halftime a draw was pretty fair. Both sides had one decent chance each. Both sides took their one decent chance each. That was it. Both sides had one shot on target the whole first half. So it was just such a bitty stop-start game that I was fine with the draw. I was hoping for a better reaction. I'm more disappointed in Liverpool's reaction second half. Just wasn't great. It just sort of didn't up a level. You know, they kept it. I kept trying to be slow and methodical, but passing-wise, the passing was slow. It was bitty. We just never really got to grips in the game. We just didn't really, to be honest, call as it is, we just didn't adapt to how the game was going. And credit to Everton, I thought they adapted well. But for all the huff and puff from Everton for most of that half, like us, both sides created very, very little. Which is why the third goal felt like the most vital one. So you kind of thought whoever takes the lead again should see it out. And I think that's why it feels such a gut wrench, because it's the last kick of the game. It turns to the referee. Yeah, he was dreadful, but guess what? They're all shit. Not one of these referees is any good. I mean, when Anthony Taylor's probably the best one, you know, that's kind of where we are. So, you know, I think the PGMOL probably put Oliver in a bit of a shit position, you know, for his first game back. You know, he probably wanted a bit more of a. It actually would have been better, like, have a non-televised game where even if he did miss stuff, it's probably less likely to be talked about, and then go on. So, but listen, we are where we are. I'm still at this point going, but we are 7 points clear, and that's the way to look at it. And as disappointed as we all are, and there's a couple of Arsenal fans getting excited, and I understand we've got a tough run. Flip it. Arsenal have just drawn with Tottenham 2-2 with a late goal. They're 7 points clear, and they've got our run of the next 5 games. Where would you rather be? And when you look at it that way,
7-point lead all the way.
And when you look at it that way, you go like, yeah, they might drop points, but Arsenal still haven't won more than, I'm sure it's 3 or 4 games in a row in the league. So, to be honest, they're going to have to win. Put it this way, to get over 90 now, they're going to have to win 13 games out of 14. They haven't shown that form all season. Don't think anyone has. So,
no.
And with the goal difference we've got, which is I think +8 on them, so it's almost like having an 8-point lead. So they need Liverpool now to drop in 3 games and them to be perfect in that period. Can it happen? Yes, but I still think there's enough in this squad to get this over the line. Today's just a bump in the road that, it just hurts a bit more, a bit like the United one, but the 2 teams you really don't want to drop points to because of the rivalry between the 2 clubs. That's probably more what's annoying us. But as we're seeing this season, away games are tough to get points in. I mean, as disappointed we have been with some away performances, we still have the best away form in the league. So if we're disappointed with our away form at times, just think of the league below, because everyone below us is really struggling away from home.
It makes it a competitive Premier League. So maybe this is just the narrative gods drawing us back in a tiny little bit to ensure that the competitiveness extends to the team at the top of the table. Ashley, we get through halftime, and I mean, we come out and Everton come out far, far stronger than we do second half. Within about 20 seconds, Ivo Konate's having to put a block inside of our own box because they somehow have the ball. I mean, we started with it. I'm not entirely sure how that happened quite so quickly, but we didn't really come out of the gate second half, and that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to see that Arne Slot halftime changes that have worked so effectively so far this season just never really got a grips of things, even in the second half when we had the chance to make changes.
Yeah, I mean, they bullied us, and they kept it really stop-start. Like I said earlier, in terms of the actual amount of time that the ball would be in play, like I'd be surprised if it was over 55 minutes. Like the number of times that it was just foul after foul after foul. And I mean, I will give credit where credit is due. I think Beto actually had the better of Virgil today, which is not something you say very often. I think there were several times where Virgil went in for a header and he got out muscled and he looked out of sorts. And I don't know if that's because, you're captain and you've got a lot going on and you've got, you're orchestrating an entire team in a really tough situation, but he did not look like the Virgil van Dijk, that we're used to. He looked like he was getting bullied. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where you start. I think every single note that I have, it's like 50 minutes, 52 minutes, 53 minutes, 54 minutes. It's all foul, foul, foul. Like it's actually, it was like a really hard watch just to kind of get through the game because it felt like it was just so bitty.
Yeah, you must have access to free pens or something if you're writing down every time there's a foul when Everton plays and the game gets broken up. But the other thing, Kev, that I noticed, because that's clear that happens, and again, that was part of Everton's game plan, so I can accept that. But the one thing I noticed, especially in the second half, and we're definitely going to have to come on to it when we get into injury time and talk about the tying goal, is we were letting the ball bounce way too much under high balls. Like, I'm pretty sure, I didn't grow up playing soccer as a kid, but I'm pretty sure you learn at like the 8-year-old level, you don't let it bounce.
Well, if you're going to let it bounce, you better be able to control it and play it. And I think I spotted it a couple of times. I think Bradley did it. Trent did it. Konate did it once and then just took the ball and passed it out. But I'll be honest, I thought Beto, when I watched it, was annoying. I think he worked the 2 centre-backs. But I don't think he was... I think it's a different type of challenge that they don't come up against that often. So in the main, Konate played him really well. He tried putting on Virgil a few times, did all right, but it was they wanted to play aggressive, the ball in the air, long balls up into the box, look for second balls. Ultimately, you got to think about it. Chris was put a message into our chat during the game. They had their second effort on goal on, I think, 81 minutes. So, and that was a little dribbler that Allison just knocked down and saved. It wasn't exactly threatening anything. So, neither side were really, it was all huff and puff, but neither side were threatening either goal up until, we made some changes. And when Curtis came on, I honestly thought when Curtis Jones came on, he was able to get his foot on the ball and move us up the pitch. He just has that thing about him when he's on the ball. He has that composure that he can just take the ball in tight situations and play the right pass more often than not. And I thought we improved when we made the changes, when he came on, Trent came on. We did get better. The game did start opening up. Trent started to play more inside, and we started to create overloads in the middle of the park where we weren't doing it in the first half. And it led to the goal eventually. But yeah, they started the second half well, but ultimately never threatened anything. If you can say that, that's what I mean. When I watched it, if I ever watch it back, it's a poor fucking game. It's a typical Derby game, and they're the reason why we all fucking hate watching them. Because they're generally always like this. It's very rare that you get a Derby where one side blows the other side away. They're always these kind of shitty fucking long balls, direct football. Used to be hard tackles. Now it's just like foul. Stop, start. Nobody can get a flow into the game. And that's what it was. It was one of them. You're not going to play 14 more of them in between now and the end of the season because most sides that we play against want to play football. The way Everton play and the way Moyes will get this Everton side playing is very direct. Nothing wrong with that because that's what he's got at his disposal. And they'll be pretty good at doing it. And he'll get them safe and they'll do whatever they do next season. But for us, I don't think we'll be that bad again this season. But at the same time, you can't let complacency build in either. But I think changes that we made were good changes. They were the right changes then. And they did affect the game.
Except for the last one. I don't.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to him.
Jota was the right change at all.
No.
Yes.
No, you could have brought on Kwanzaa, you could have brought on Endo for the last 5 minutes. But I think when Jota came on, I'll have to look at it. When Jota came on, I think Jota came on with about 10 to go, something like that.
He came off at 85 minutes-ish.
88. 87. So 87 plus injury time.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, no, look, in fairness,
That made no sense.
At 85, 87 minutes, you bring on Kwanzaa or you bring on Endo and you make sure of the points.
That made no sense.
No, it didn't. Agree 100%.
Yeah, we'll get there. Chronological order, people. Come on now. You know how I run a show around here. Chris, we make the first couple of changes. Darwin comes on for Gakpo. Not a great game from Gakpo, really. Not a great game from Gakpo.
The front three didn't get an all game, to be honest, but I think that's more lack of service. So
yeah,
he couldn't look any of them off, really.
I jumped ahead. Chris, was Connor Bradley lucky to still be on the pitch by the time he gets taken off on an hour?
No, it's just a foul. But I think he was. It was definitely one of those, that's your last one. And if Everton fans want to cry about it, you can do. It's not as blatant as the Gay wrestling him back. So
they were baiting him.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, smart management, take him off quickly. I don't think he wanted to play Trent for half an hour. I think the plan was only probably to play him for 15, 20 minutes, but, needs must a little bit, wasn't it? So, yeah, both subs sort of made sense. I mean, to be fair, of his first four subs, two of them combined to set up the second goal for Liverpool. So, they do work. But, yeah, the last sub baffles me. Still baffles me.
Yeah, it just is what it is. But I mean, in terms of the goal, because Kev was talking about the kind of scrappy nature of derbies, and the stat I got before the game was 9 of the last 12 derbies at Goodison Park had finished in a draw. So you can make that 10 out of the last 13, and
Yeah,
it feels like it's kind of moving towards a draw. And then Mo Salah, just Mo Salah. I mean, it's top of the goal scoring, top of the assist chart.
Yeah.
He's where we need him to be.
Yeah, it's his 51st game of having a goal and assist. It's just unreal. I think he's like 3 goals short now of going up another level in the all-time goal scoring charts. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, ridiculous consistency by him. I mean, there may be a stat. Ashley probably knows it, but at 2-1, you generally thought Liverpool would see it out because I don't remember Liverpool too often conceding this season many late equalizers. It was Newcastle, there's this one. I can't really remember many others. I'm sure there probably are, but
they've only lost one game in which they've scored, you know, in just in general, like, which was PSV. So for us to have gotten 2 goals and then lose is a rarity for us, 100%.
But for us to take a lead again and end up in a draw, I don't think there've been many of them really. All I can think of is today in Newcastle. I think most of the other
I think that's it.
Yeah, so that's why you generally thought Liverpool would see it out, because they generally have, when they've been ahead, seen the game out. I think that's the other annoyance of today. But listen, in terms of the goal, Jones reacts quicker. It's a nice flick by Darwin back to Jones. Good hit, and then Mo doing what he wants to do, comes in and finishes it. And you can tell by celebration that felt like the big goal. That felt like the, okay, this could be the 9 points clear moment. And look, for up to the 98th minute, you thought they'd done enough to see it out. So, but listen, we move on.
Yeah, move onwards and upwards. And I mean, Ashley, we're now getting to the absolutely dreadful part of this whole chronological discussion of the game. Something that many people in the chat, I think I tried to save one of the comments on it, but the non-call on the foul on Mo Salah.
Foul, because there's multiple that were
the one in the 91st minute where he has a 1v5 and he walks around 3 of their players, and then Alcaraz just absolutely takes him out.
I don't know what you need to do to get fouled as Mo Salah, like, because it probably is like a 1 for every 100 fouls he probably gets called against him. But that was a dead cert, 100% foul. And that was the first of, like, I don't even think that was the worst foul in the entire move. Like, I think the Konate foul was worse, but I just, like, the fingerprints of Michael Oliver will be all over this match forever. And it just drives me nuts.
Yeah. And then, Kev, I mean, we obviously have to talk about it. It's the big talking point of the game. There's a few things. They obviously do a VAR check for offsides. And then presumably it looked like they were kind of going through the phases and checking for everything. And at that point, you know, every Liverpool fan is, you know, hoping beyond hope that they're going to find something to chalk their goal off. Do you think it's a foul on Ibu Konate, Kev, in the lead up to Tarkowski's leveler?
Oh, yeah, it's a foul, right? I mean, anywhere. No, I wouldn't even say anywhere in the pitch. There is no other way to say that that's not a foul. He's in the air and he's pushed out the way by a guy who is not even attempting to play the ball. He's literally just shoving him out the way. What can you do about that? There is nothing you can do about that. But go back, rewind the clock a little bit. Alcaraz and Brantwaite clashed, and both went down, right? And it looked horrible, to be honest. That was in the 95th minute. He stops the game in the 95th minute of injury time.
There was only 5 minutes of extra time.
We played for another 3.
Yeah, there was only 5 minutes of extra time.
Yeah, it really felt like he was, and Chris, you said it to us in the group while the injury was on the floor. He's going to give him one more chance here.
He's going to give him as many chances as they needed to get a goal, to be honest.
He was going to give him the one more.
Oh, wow, that is... Sorry, guys. Apologies for anyone wearing headphones. Yeah. That was a lot.
Chris lives underneath some high transmission power lines. So,
but yeah, look, ball comes in, Ibu's shoved out of the way. They get an overload on the back post. Tarkowski rifles it in. They look for offside. It was very tight. And I mean, you're talking inches, but he was onside. Okay. Then you look back, and bear in mind, you'd already had the pitch invasion at this stage, and the crowd were through the roof. I think he could have took out a baseball bat and took Ibu's knees clean out.
They would never have called that back.
He was not going to give a foul for it. Never in a month of Sundays. So
not after the reaction, not after the meaning of what that goal meant for this game. Like, I still don't know if that was like, as far as I've seen, all of the imagery is kind of dubious with the offside. And I know it was offside is offside. I'm going to just park it there. There are a lot of people though that are saying it's dubious.
No, I've seen the lines. I've seen the still with the lines. It's right. It was onside. It was onside.
I think the foul on Konate was the bigger thing. I think the foul on Mo was the start of things. The foul on Konate was both.
You go back to that one. You go back to that one. That was on 90. That was on 92 minutes. The foul on Salah. You give that foul. It takes another minute to set up the free kick. Odds are you're not taking it, or you're going to take it, and it goes. You might score. It could go over the bar, or you could take it short and manage the game out that way. It's a different game, but decisions just happen. There's no point. Ultimately, there was an overload in the back post, and Virgil and Robertson missed Tarkowski making the extra run. And he finished it brilliantly. There's nothing the keeper could do. Really good finish. And the place went up. Game finished. And yeah, you get your point. But it's not down to Michael Oliver that the decision, the game finished the way it VAR. No, it's not, because VAR.
That game should have finished at 97, 96 minutes. I
get that. But VAR, Darren England in the box, is the one who's got to tell Michael Oliver to go to the screen and look at
England or Kavanagh?
Kavanagh. Well, he's got to go. He's the one that's got to tell Oliver there's a potential foul on Konate in the lead up to the goal. Go and check this. And if you want to still give it, then give it. But he doesn't. He takes that decision away from Oliver. Again, I agree. The foul, the clash of heads was at 95 minutes. There was no substitutions. There was nothing to say that any more time should have been added on. But he seemed determined to give him one more chance. He got 3 more minutes. It finished out, and look, they got their goal, and that's it. It's done. It's like you get your point. But what can you do? We didn't do enough in that game to win it, in my opinion. Not with 6 efforts on goal. You go away from them. They had 10 efforts. We had 6. They had slightly higher XG. It was a game. You look at the stats. Yeah, if you look at the stats, it's a game that should have finished a draw. And by hook and by crook, it did finish a draw. I think we'd have been fuming if that was a winner. If that was a winner, you'd have been apoplectic over it. But ultimately,
I don't think I would have been on the show. I think I probably would have broken my TV
in the cold light of day. In the cold light of day, I don't think you can look back and say we deserved 3 points and Michael Oliver robbed us on the strength of the performance that we put in. I can't square that circle. I
agree with you there.
I know, I get it, but I just think over the 98 minutes, we didn't do enough.
I thought we were shit, but I genuinely think that the decisions were. They had his fingerprints all over them. They were not like that game was not won because Everton outfoxed us. That game was won because Oliver manipulated it in a way that gave them the chances to do that and allowed them the fouls and the consistent free kicks and the consistent biddiness of the game. Like that game was not played in a normal way. And it never is because it's a derby, but like the way that it was refereed, I felt like he was losing control. Like the minute he started flashing yellow cards, I think there was about 4 or 5 of them that were given in a row, and you could tell he was losing control of the game. like I said, I think the dominant feeling for me after leaving that game is going to be how shit he was, not how shit we were.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and we all said at halftime, someone has got to get sent off here over something stupid. You know, and yeah, look, it ultimately happened after the final whistle. But the way he was refereeing that game, that yellow card that he gave for Conor Bradley, out of nothing, I honestly I was amazed that game didn't finish 10v10 and 10v11 for either side. Because it's like Everton will complain about Conor Bradley foul. Sometimes a foul is just a foul. It was just a foul. You know, but yeah, I think Oliver had never had any control over that game. I don't think he should have been anywhere near that game. It was way too big for him, given what happened in the Arsenal Wolves game. It was set up for him to have a fucking nightmare, and he obliged in a big way.
Yeah, Chris, the end of the game. I mean, there's so many things to talk about there. I mean, Brian O'Halloran pointing out 4 major decisions at the end that the referee messes up. But you do want to see Liverpool with a 2-1 lead going into injury time. Just see that out. And I'm wondering where you fall on the final substitution of bringing Jota on. Was that a big mistake from Arne Slot not bringing on Wataru Endo?
I think so, yeah. I thought it'd be wise after the events. I think all of us in our chat between the four of us went, that's an odd sub. Bring Endo on, you know. And to be honest, we had that lesson against Newcastle. Plus, in this game, one thing Everton were doing is look for free kicks, you know, to bombard the box because, you know, to play to your strengths. What's one of Endo's strengths? He loves a header. He loves, you know, we've played him at centre half. He's played more games at centre half than he has at centre mid. So just bring Endo on. Stand him next to Jones and McAllister. Or bring Kwanzaa.
I mean, I don't even mind if Kwanzaa or Endo take a yellow card or 2 yellow cards for that matter. Yeah. And Endo's really good at not, you know, at being clever with like a yellow card. Like that's what pissed me off, among other things, obviously.
Yeah, and that's where Slot and his staff maybe need to look at that. Is fine. That probably is the game management side of it. Not is like bringing the right player on, because when you're 2-1 up with a couple of minutes to go, you don't need to chase the third. We didn't need the third. You needed to just see it out, and that's where it is slightly frustrating. But you know, we'll just have to move on. It just feels like we're repeating ourselves, going around in circles. I mean, the end of the game was just ridiculous madness. Look, you know why Jones is getting sent off. You can't grab someone by the throat, but I can see why.
I'm so impressed with Jones.
I can see why he's enraged. Which is, listen, it's a last-minute winner, so you're all going to celebrate. No one's.
Well, it's a last-minute goal for a draw. They might think it's a win. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
It felt like a winner to them because half the crowd went on the pitch for an equalizer. But you don't have to go and celebrate for the Liverpool fans. And listen, we've seen other players get fined and bans. Gary Neville famously running to the Liverpool fans to, you know, goad them.
Yeah,
I can see what. Yeah, so I can see why Jones reacted the way he did. Both got yellow card each, got sent off. There probably could have been more that got sent off. I have no idea what Slot and his assistant got sent off for, because I didn't know I'm assuming it's something he said. Because he didn't see. I mean, listen, we've seen managers be quite aggressive towards officials when they're really upset over a decision. Didn't seem massive over aggressive, so I'm assuming it's something he said.
I've seen some of the right after he went over to Oliver to shake his hand. He said, I don't know what he said. He said something to Oliver, and then Oliver immediately reached into his pocket and gave him a red card.
Where did it go? Garmack figures that you don't tell Abu Dhabi's best paid referee to get fucked and get away with it. And that's, I'm going to stop doing any digging there. I'm going to presume that's what happened.
Yeah. But yeah, because do you know what I generally think? That reaction by Oliver to send off the manager says to me, I think he knows I think he's thinking, I might have fucked up here. And
it wasn't just the manager, it was our assistant manager, it was Curtis Jones. It was Slot. He was.
Yeah, Decore got sent off as well.
Decore did get sent off.
Decore got sent off, but I did see
straight red for Slot and for our assistant manager.
Yeah, because I've seen a few in the chat saying it's poor by Slot not doing a post-match. It creates a
He
narrative.
couldn't.
It's literally the Premier League rules. The Premier League rules is if you are sent off, you cannot do a post-match interview, and they give it to the assistant manager. But because the assistant manager is sent off,
Can't do it either.
they can't do either. So it's Premier League rules. So it's not even like Slot's. To be honest, it's probably done Slot a favour because,
Yeah.
let's be honest, can you imagine what his post-match interview would have been like? He probably would have got himself.
I was really excited
I know.
to hear his post-match.
Why we all would have liked it, and
I
it would have been funny.
really wanted
We'd
to
have-
hear it.
Ashley, we'd have all just shut up half an hour into the show and you'd have been reading his
Like,
quotes.
I was so excited.
Oh.
And I've been looking for quotes, and it's just crickets.
Or we'd have just copied and pasted
I tell you one
the
thing.
LFC
His-
press conference.
That
and
could
just
have been my
fucking like-
silver lining, guys, and it was stolen away.
I'll tell you what, then I'm booking a break in work on Friday to watch his Friday press conference because he will be asked, "What do you think about officiating?" And
Madge asks if LFC
TV
TV can do an interview. Yes, they can, but
They're not
they
going to release
won't.
it.
They
No.
won't.
They did an interview with Connor Bradley. They didn't do an interview with Slot because I did check.
Yeah,
And
I think
they media talked to Virgil after as well, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
Virgil was pretty scathing. He didn't hold back, but
no.
yeah, there's nothing on. I looked at LiverpoolFC.com. There's nothing there as well. There's just some quotes from Bradley.
I think
No,
they'll
you
wait
won't get what you won't get one from Curtis Jones either. I honestly thought Curtis Jones was a straight red, but apparently he got a
Second
yellow
yellow.
card in the game, so it was a second yellow.
they'll
He
both
had
Decore-
3 people around his neck.
Yeah,
Like
Decore
there's
was
some
a
photos where he was like, it was actually insane. I don't think it was a red card on him. I think he went over. I think he defended the fans.
Yeah,
I'm proud of him for defending the fans.
yeah, but you just can't
I don't
do it.
think. I know you shouldn't do that, but like Decore should never have been going over there in the first place. I'm proud of him for doing that. Even
Oh yeah, I've got
even
no
though he
problem
has
with
a
it.
red card. Even though
I
he
got
has
no-
a red card,
I got no
I'm
problem with
proud
it.
of him.
Yeah, I got no problem with it. He's dead right, but Decore got a yellow as well for it, so that was it's a second yellow for him. He got sent off.
I'm assuming
It
it's just
wasn't until halfway through.
a one-game ban for the
It's
managers.
a one-game ban. But it's his second one.
Yeah, so it might be 2.
Might be 2. We'll find out tomorrow.
We have Heitinga as our coach for this weekend.
Yeah, Johnny Heitinga will be on the. And the thing is, he's been touted around as a coach on the radar of clubs as it is. So
But then again, as Slot says, bans in England are different to bans in Holland. Because in Holland, if you got a red card in Holland, you're not even allowed in the stadium.
No,
you literally you send the team off and you sit and watch it on your telly. You can't have any communication. He says his bans for England are you sit in the stands, but you still communicate.
Yeah.
So while you don't have that figure on the ground, it's not he can still influence the game.
I'll tell you one thing though. I think that furore, that fracas, whatever you want to call it, at the end, I think that'll fucking galvanize the squad. I think there'll be a lot of players with their backup after that because they'll know the performance wasn't good enough. They're not stupid. They've been around the block, but they've also, a lot of them have been in these games. They know how this shit goes. Something like that happens at the end of the game could really get their back up, and it could ignite something in the second half of the season. They need it. At the end of the day, they come through a League Cup semi-final against Spurs, but Spurs are shite.
Yeah.
They sent second string team down to Plymouth expecting to get a result, and they got turned over. And they put in a shit performance tonight. So, ultimately, they know that they got to pull their finger out. They can't just be like Virgil and talk a good game. They've got to fucking come out and produce a game.
Yeah.
And they've got a chance. It's good.
Not like it's a
game,
crisis, though. Like, I'm sick and tired of the people that
it's
are
not
coming
crisis.
out saying, "Oh, well, we lost the FA Cup game, and now we did this. Like, now it's a crisis." Like, that was the U.S. commentary around here. I mean, the commentary for my stream was absolutely atrocious.
Oh yeah, ours was much better. The one thing I would say is, as much as I don't like him as a commentator, Ferdinand, even he said, surprisingly, there's more positives in that for Liverpool. He said, because I've been in those games where it's an annoying result and you haven't played well. And he says it really kicks you on in a title race. And just like Rio Ferdinand, he does know
he knows what he's talking about to go and win title.
He's been in enough of them. Yeah. So I mean, listen, as a commentator, him and McCoy were horrific.
Yeah,
but,
it's. I'll be honest. I'm glad the Wolves game is coming up quick. I think it'll do the players the world of good to have this one coming up. They don't have time to dwell on this. It's like we've got 4 more games to go in this block of 5, so they're not going to get time to dwell on it. They're not going to get time to think and to worry about it. So it's like, get your head down, recover. Hopefully Trent recovers okay out of it. And, because I do think he probably did play more than what he was supposed to. So get that and get back onto the pitch on Saturday and put a proper shift in and get a win, and lay a marker down and say, look, it was shite the other night. This is where we're at. It's got to be like that now.
Yeah, well, the challenge for Liverpool now is, opportunity is the wrong word. Opportunity for Liverpool is look to beat Wolves, look to beat Villa, and generally Villa away. I know we had the 3-3 last year, and we had to run the 7-2, but in general, Villa away we do normally quite well in, and Villa aren't going to sit back as much as this. If you win those 2 games, yes, we've played a game more than Arsenal, but then you're looking at Arsenal going, right, guys, 10 points ahead of you. Make sure you win your game in hand to keep it down to 7. That's now the way you've got to look at it: is win the next 2, put a 10-point pressure on Arsenal, and say you've got to wait now until March to make sure you win your game in hand, and you've got to keep winning all your others on the way. That's the way Liverpool have got to look at it now: is take the annoyances today and take it out on Wolves and Villa, and then see what happens after that. I still think Liverpool need to look at probably the next 4 games, and an ideal world 3 wins and a draw. I think if they get 3 wins and a draw, so which means two draws, 3 wins in that block of 5, I think that's fine.
Superdism makes a point there in the chat. Do you guys think they're robots? And honestly, I think that's the way they have to become. They have to become metronomic in chalking off wins. It's literally like the game's in front of them. Win the game, recover, go to the next game, win that, recover, go to the next game, win that. You have to take it game by game, obviously, but they know the performances are in their legs. They know how to play the game. They're going to have the odd few performances like that here and there in a season. Nobody expected us to go from now until the end of the season and win every game. But again, we've lost 1 game this season in the league, 1. So it's not the be all and end all. It's just annoying. It's to them 2 fucking clubs that we've dropped points. Yeah.
You're talking about, only having the 1 loss in the league. This is from earlier. Rory Fitzgerald, who is our Members Telegram stats guru, by the way. No one has rhythm in the year this league. We are 3 wins, a loss, 4 wins, a draw, 4 wins, 2 draws, win, draw, win, draw. We'll probably go similar to the end of the season with 3 wins and a drop point. Arsenal have no momentum either. Like there's no team that's really put themselves out there as the dead front runner. How we won it in 1920 was weird. Yeah, very weird. Here's some quotes from the only man to get a mic put in front of him after the game, Virgil van Dijk. He said, the referee had a big part in the game today, how some things were given as a foul and some weren't. It was always going to be intense, a lot of battles. It was very disappointing to lose it in the last second or over extra time. It is not easy to accept it, especially in the manner how certain fouls were given as a foul, others didn't. You saw they celebrated the goal. They have every right to. Doucouré wanted to provoke our fans. Curtis didn't think it was the right thing to do. The ref didn't have the game under control. Virgil continues. We all know this is their cup final. They will make it as difficult as possible for us. Intense. It was always going to be intense. A lot of battles. Very disappointing to lose in the last second. I think I had that one already. And then on the title fight, which we are in, they are not. Virgil says, we have to put ourselves in a solid position. We all know we have so many difficult games coming up. We need everyone at their best. Everyone should be disappointed on the last part of the game, but from tomorrow, the focus will be on recovery. And then the oldest man in the building, David Moyes, said, a brilliant finish for us. To score in the last minute of a Merseyside Derby is fitting. We'd like to have won the game. So
he also said the refs did a really good job.
I'm sure he did. I mean, I think for me, if I can take off the rage of not getting the win from it, the thing about this game that I really quite like is the knots that rival fans are tying themselves in, which like at halftime being like Michael Oliver is the absolute worst ref in the world, and now at the end having to be kind of okay with Michael Oliver. It's really interesting mental gymnastics that are taking place all over the internet and social media at this very moment. Ashley, I will let you go first. Who would you like for player of the game, honorable mention, and needs improvement?
Player of the game, I'm going to go Mo Salah. You know, the pass, the goal, he did the whole thing. It should have been enough to win. Honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Jones because I think that the way that he defended the fans in the end was admirable. I know that, you know, fighting is not something that we condone, but I liked that. I liked it as a local lad for him to go and do that. You know, I think McAllister had a really good game as well. So from a footballing standpoint, we'll give it to McAllister. Could do better. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Virgil could do better. I thought he was poor today. I thought he got bullied by Beto, and I think the number of times that he lost a header is something that I can't recall the last time that, you know, like it's odd for him to lose one header. I think he lost 2 or 3. You know, so for me, I think he could do better. I think that he could have done better to have gotten the team together, put their heads down, and not let this get to them in the way that the occasion got to them. I just don't think it was, I don't know. Like I don't know how he does it, but I just think he could have led them in a different way. I don't like the way that our entire team mentality was set up today.
Yeah, and you are in perfect agreement with Anthony Boylan. Salah, honorable mention to Jones, need to improve Virgil. Chris, who are your 3 choices?
I agree with the first 2. Salah, golden assist. You know, it's in a low-scoring game where Liverpool don't create a lot. You know, he's got 2 decisive moments. Honourable mentions are probably Jones and McAllister. Jones actually played well, but also he took on half the Everton team, which I'm always bang into. And McAllister thought I had a decent game. Could do better. I think it's out of slot. I think this is probably a couple of games where you've gone hasn't quite got the tactics right to see a game out. Listen, he's done brilliantly. We're top of the league with 7 points, so this is pure nitpicking. But probably, you know, I don't agree with his final sub, and I don't feel the final sub helped us. And we just never quite got our tempo going to adapt to the situation. So probably slot. You know, I'm sure I'll get pelters for that, but you know.
No. I'll allow it. I'll allow both your choice and you receiving the pelters from it.
Yeah, Mo Salah is man of the match from 54 touches in the game, and that in itself is the problem. Our midfield couldn't find enough passes to get our forwards into play. They couldn't find enough space to get our forwards into play. I see a lot of people there saying Diaz was poor. Diaz never got a pass in a dangerous position that I can think of in the entire game. If he did, it doesn't stick out in my head. I thought Szoboszlai was off it. Gakpo was off it. McAllister's run and endeavour to win the ball back in the first place for his goal. His timing of his run and the header was brilliant. I thought in the main, Ibu Konate did well. Won every header he went up for. Virgil won 5 out of 9 headers against Beto. Konate won all his aerial duels, won every tackle that he went into. It was every ground tackle. But it was still, they were occupied all game long. They were made to work for that. They'll come off there tonight knowing that Beto gave them a game. And that's something that they don't come up against that type of striker very often. Isak is probably the only other one that you look at capable of doing that to them. I thought Bradley was not really on it today. You know, you could go through the team. It just wasn't a Liverpool performance that you'd want repeated anytime soon. You know, they've got, and I agree with Chris, Arne Slot. Once they went into that narrow 4-2-4 defensive shape off the ball, he had to see that earlier and work out a way of getting around it or getting through it. If that meant Dominic Szoboszlai dropping back in to make an extra man in midfield, or Conor Bradley tucking inside to make the extra man, to give the extra angle for a pass. Something had to be tactically changed in that first half. And if it wasn't done in the first half, it had to be addressed at halftime to give us the impetus in the second half, and it didn't. It took until the substitutions were made before we really started to show that we can get through the middle of the park effectively. So yeah, all in all around shit show. Salah, freak of nature, goal and assist from one of his quietest games that I think he's had in a Liverpool shirt in a long time. But yeah, it's a lot to improve. A lot to improve on.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give my man of the match to Alexis McAllister. Just more than good enough game from him. And I can't agree more, Kev, on the role he plays in the first goal to just get that ball and then make that run and be that extra runner, especially with Diaz doing the non-traditional 9 thing, needing that extra body in the box. Honorable mention, I'm going to go slightly off piste here. I'm going to say Jared Branthwaite is going to be one hell of a center half.
Yeah, he's okay.
He might want to have a little chit chat with Wataru Endo and figure out where he's getting the mouth guards from, because that might have helped him a little bit there at the end when they had the little face smushing going up against. And in terms of should improve, for me, it's got to be Luis Diaz. There's a lot of people here in the chat, saying that he's done in that 9 position. I don't think you can make that claim just quite yet, just simply because we don't have somebody else that's there and taking that starting position away from Luis Diaz playing in the number 9. But Ashley had put a stat up in the chat that I missed saving so I could throw it up on the screen, that he hasn't had a goal involvement since the turn of the calendar year. And that's
not good enough for our number 9.
No, and it's untenable, actually. Like if you find yourself in this run-in, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the League Cup final or in the Premier League, you're going to need at least goal contributions, from your whoever's playing at the top of the the tip of the spear for you. I mean, I guess at the other time there was Champions League games going on, we can give those a quick run through. Ashley, was there anything out of the 8 games in the Champions League that stood out for you?
I honestly didn't watch. The only result that surprised me was Atalanta not winning. I thought they would cruise past comfortably. So that was the only one that I really paid attention to.
Yeah, well, Atalanta ran up against the world-class goalkeeper that is Simon Mignolet. I don't actually know whether he played or not. Kev, what was your take on the Champions League games?
Man City finding ways to lose games again. All well and good. Celtic did well. Celtic gave Bayern a run for their money. Bayern ran out 2-1 winners on the night. You expect them to go through comfortably in the second leg. Dortmund surprised me. We were chatting last night. Dortmund surprised me winning 3-0 away in Lisbon. Really good win, because they're not exactly playing well. But yeah, I think a lot of these ties look like they're decided in first leg. I think the City Madrid game is up in the air. Anything can happen in that game still. But I don't know. I don't care right now, to be honest. Couldn't give a flying fuck.
Right then. I guess I won't even come to you, Chris.
It can if you want.
Wow, that was my mistake. Your nuclear power plant's going mental again, Chris. I apologize. Well, we've done an hour and 15 minutes. I think that's more than enough from everybody here. Yeah, I mean, we didn't get the win. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, take a look at the table. Everybody's played 24 games, and we've got 7 more in the points column than any other team. So I'd rather be us than anybody else, because they've still got to catch us, and we just need to keep on doing what we've been doing. So onwards and upwards. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. If you've been in here watching, add up about 400 people at some point or another. Please hit the thumbs up button for us so that this gets spread around YouTube just a little bit more. If you want to be cool like Anthony Gray, who became a member on YouTube tonight and is finding his way into the Telegram members chat, $3.99 a month for you to go ahead and do that. Get involved in the chat with the lovely, lovely people we got there. About 75 people we're up to now. It makes it so that there's always somebody to talk about, and it's usually almost never football that's being talked about in there.
Mostly food, to be honest.
Yes, it's hopefully you eat food, because then you can relate to most of the chat that's going on in there. And of course, we still have our two charities, which is Fans Supporting Food Banks and the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. You'll find the GoFundMe link in the show description, whether you're watching on Spotify or YouTube or listening as a podcast downloads afterwards. But thank you very much to Chris. Thank you very much to Kev. Thank you very much to Ashley. Thank you guys all for joining us. We will see you after the next match. Adios.